Without health, you've got nothing. No matter how much money you're making, no matter how great the relationships in your life are, which is awesome. It's very important, something we talk about all the time. Health is number one, because if you don't have health, you don't have energy. If you don't have health, you don't have vitality. You don't have life to spend with the people who mean so much to you. You don't even get more time to build that career and build that business that you're focusing so hard on, because you're not focusing on the most important thing of all, which is your health. But that doesn't have to continue. And if you're someone and you're like, Brandon, health is already a huge focal point, I'm listening because I want one tidbit, one strategy, one philosophy that will help me to take my lifestyle and my fitness to the next level, then this episode is for you as well, because we're going to be talking to James Lenhart. He is a GM of several Anytime Fitness locations in upstate New York, and he is an expert when it comes to this world of fitness, and especially when it comes to implementing fitness into a busy lifestyle. This guy is a GM of several locations. He's married. He's got his whole life ahead of him. He's a busy guy, but he still fits even this podcast in to have this conversation. So no matter how busy you are, health is something that you can incorporate. Hey, you know the fee for the Be Better broadcast. The only thing we ask you is, when you take away a piece of value, a tidbit of information that helps you, or a new insight, share this show with one person who could use it the most. Share it on your socials, share it socially in conversation with people. And let's get rocking and rolling and talk to Mr. James Lenhart himself on how to live a healthy lifestyle and optimize your fitness. Without further ado, James Lenhart.
Hey there, Brandon.
If you don't know James, it's great to have you, brother. As a certified personal trainer, James holds a bachelor's of science in kinesiology in fitness development and holds 2 certifications with the National Strength and Conditioning Association as a certified strength and conditioning specialist. This guy's got the credentials. His experience includes strength and conditioning internships with the New York Jets and the University of South Florida. James has competed in athletics his entire life and has played Division III college football at SUNY Cortland. He's been working in the fitness field for the past 10 years, and he spent the last 7 years overseeing 2 Anytime Fitness clubs in upstate New York. And that's how I met you, James. It's a pleasure to have you here, brother.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. I'm happy to be here and excited to get after it.
Let me tell you, man, I've been a part of several gyms throughout my life, 4 gyms specifically. And they were all great places, right? I won't mention the names of them. Great places, awesome gyms to go to. But the one thing about you specifically that I noticed that makes it different, I'm not just like blowing your head up right now, but I remember the first time I joined the gym in Glens Falls. And you made me feel welcome, like right away, man. You came over, you introduced yourself, you asked me what my goals are. You even said to me, hey, I'd like to give you like 2 complimentary like fitness sessions with me to help you out. And I was like, I was shy, very shy. So I was like, I don't know if I want to take you up on that. I didn't say that, but I never did. But several years later, like 4 years later, I look completely different at this point. I walk into the other location, not expecting to see you. And you walk up and you literally say, hey, Brandon, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop. How does this guy remember me? And I memorized your name too, because you left an impression. But I just commend you for how personal you are with the people you work with. Like, I see you training clients in the gym while I'm in there working out, and you still make a point to talk to people, to say hi, to say bye. And it's a testament to you as a trainer, but also as a human being. So I commend you for that, man.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something. When I started with Anytime Fitness in 2014, so it'll be 8 years now. Coming up this May, if I did my math correctly, state school education, let's go. But one thing that really resonated with me when I started with the company is a mantra they had, which is, being surprisingly personable. And that was something that I already felt that I could do, and is so relevant to any aspect of your life, obviously health and fitness too. And it really went back to, when I worked at a gym down in Florida and I was grinding my teeth, it was a lower end as far as just checking people. And it was my job. I'd take your key, I'd swipe it, I'd give it back to you. I noticed that some of the employees, they would just, hey, check in. And I kind of thought, wait a minute, that's messed up. Our job is to greet them. Our job is to check them in. We should at least, we don't have to be perfect, but show enthusiasm. So when you see a person come in, even if you don't know them, say, hey, how are you? Working out? Great, man. Hey, you have a great workout. And then hopefully you remember the name. Say, hey, Susie, you get another cardio session in, you're doing some weights. So that was something, again, that I identified with early on in my career. And then when I got to Anytime, that was their big thing. Hey, let's be surprisingly personable. And I'm like, oh, wow, well, that's just what I believe in, how I feel you can impact and help people. And so I kind of knew that this is where I want to be. So
yeah, it's a testament to when your morals and your values aligns with that of your organization, it just allows for exponential growth at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. The other thing about you, man, is, you know, and this isn't knocking people. I think that's important to say, but you walk into a gym like Planet Fitness and they're not actually personal trainers, right? You know, they're people who work there, and one of their roles is, hey, you know, when people have questions, help them out and guide people through things. And you get some unhealthy trainers, man, and you get some people who don't really know what they're doing. And again, like, they're still learning, they're getting better. But the thing about you is you're in there doing it. Like, you're lifting, you're going all out, you're in the zone. It's inspiring, and you're leading by example. So my question for you is, what inspired you to make health and fitness your life's work? I mean, since I know you were, you know, big into sports and everything like that, like, what inspired you to go down this path?
So if I guess we have time, that's why I love this podcast format. It's not a quick 3 minutes, we're out. It really started in 7th grade for me. I was playing sports growing up. I recently gotten into playing football. It was the first time I could play organized. And I had a great physical education teacher in middle school. And he also was my basketball coach. He went to SUNY Cortland, so the school that I would end up going to. And he knew that I was really committed and said, hey, James, have you heard about the high school weight room? And what's that? What's a weight room? What's a, you know? And he goes, oh, well, down there they have some exercises and they have equipment and resources. There's a coach there who can help you be better at sports. And I'm like, huh, okay. So I guess I'll just go there after school. No one made me do it. I was like, I was interested. And so I went there, and I had a great coach named Frank Fontana and Coach Bob Sutphin and Jim Decker, who really, you know, gave me that foundation of fitness and strength training. And then I realized I was improving. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm getting stronger. I'm faster. I can jump higher. I can do something longer. My conditioning's better. And I became fascinated with the fact that you can improve your body. You know, and I say this all the time at the gym, you know, this is really the one place where we really can make that improvement over time, and it will sustain it, versus the car you buy, the laptop you get, the TV just gets worse. It only gets worse. It doesn't get better. And so I thought to myself, as I was getting old through high school and still taking strength training seriously and applying it through 14, 15, 16, 17, what's a career that I can do where I can help people do this? Because it seems like a no-brainer that we need to have more people doing this. So yeah, that really sparked my interest. And then from there, as you mentioned earlier, I went to SUNY Cortland. I was very fortunate to play college football there, received my degree in kinesiology, fitness development. Really fortunate that while I was there, the New York Jets just happened to go there for their summer training camp. They needed internships in the summertime. So during going into my senior year, I was fortunate to do an internship, worked with the athletes, and in close connection with the strength coach, Sal Alosi, who's now the head strength coach at UCLA for their football program. That led to a connection to an internship at the University of South Florida. So working with some guys that would go on to play in the pros, guys like Kayvon Webster, Sam Barrington. Kayvon Webster was actually a defensive back for the Broncos, who was the captain for the Super Bowl that they won. Sam Barrington would be a starting linebacker for the Packers. But anyway, and loving that experience. And
by the way, not to cut you off, but when you got that opportunity, like, come on, man, like you're in college at that point, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like, were you intimidated? Like, what were your thoughts? Like, was there any sense of imposter syndrome? Like, what were the feelings like during that experience?
Intimidation, that's fascinating. 100%. And nerves. Oh my God. Yeah. Because you see these guys on TV, and you understand the importance of everything they do. That just the way you even have the weight room set up, you know, whether we're doing a myofascial release before the workout, and we're going to set up a few lacrosse balls in a foam roller, and even making sure that guys were hydrated and being nourished properly. You know, one of my roles was I had to make sure the players would drink a specific formula post-practice protein shake based on their weight and what the coaches wanted them to weigh. And it was my job to physically give it to them and make sure they drank, because a lot of times they wouldn't. So, oh, dude, to answer your question, yeah, lots of nerves.
Wow.
And because wanting to get it right. But man, that experience I think is so valuable, and has definitely, I use the phrase that in the fitness field, I was raised by wolves. I was raised in a tough environment, but I really feel it benefited me to have that, because, and as you see me working with clients, that's really my approach is, how can I put forth 1,000% effort to helping this person versus, as you mentioned, listen, if Planet works for someone, I love that. If you go there and you exercise, and if you work with someone there that helps you, great. Mine's a different experience. We're going to get the most out of you and induce that adaptation to get the results, to be healthier, to excel in, your work, your life, your family. And so, yeah, that was something I really took a lot of pride in to do. But yeah, those experiences, yeah. Oh my God, nervous as heck, and but it definitely helped bring me where I am today too.
Absolutely. It puts you under a fire, man, and it caused you to either
Oh
perform or get out,
yes.
and you performed, and it's brought you to where you are.
Yeah.
And I like how you said, hey man, if Planet works for you, if working out in your home works for you, like, and by the way, that works for a lot of people, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to get to the fitness result that you're looking to get to. The keys are really what we're talking about here. So I'm not really going to go into it because I want to hear what you think the keys are. But I remember fitness was huge for me. And the reason like this broadcast even exists, and listen, man, like I'm not the most fit guy in the world, right? But coming from where I was 260 pounds when I was 21 years old. I was extremely unhappy. I was absolutely just depressed. No idea what I wanted for my life. And I remember I wanted to get promoted at work because I was doing the same thing for like 3 years, doing very well in sales, but I wanted to become a leader. And my boss literally, and I needed this, he looked at me and he's like, dude, there's no way you're going to be a leader. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, how can you lead other people and expect them to listen to you when you can't even properly lead yourself? And I was like, whoa. And he's like, your health, man, your finances lack, your overall outlook on life is negative, and you just can't have that. And he's like, I'm willing to take you under my wing and show you what's necessary in order to change this. And he did. And one of the first things we worked on was mindset and, being conscious of my emotions. And we did that while he started bringing me to the gym with him. And I was afraid, man, because I think that there's a big fear when it comes to, starting at a gym or switching to a different gym, where people feel that, well, at least when I say people, I mean me, because this is how it was for me. It's intimidating walking into a room and it's inspiring and intimidating, where you've got all these fit people and, good looking people doing their thing, being fit, lifting heavy weights, much heavier weights than me. Right. And I've got one plate on there and this guy behind me's got 4. And it's like, oh my God, like I got a long way to go. Like, how do you recommend somebody and help them ease into this world of fitness in I don't want to say a comfortable way, because we don't want everything to be comfortable, but how do you advise someone to take that step and really make the leap into that healthy lifestyle?
And I think, Brandon, all great points that you just brought up there, and that's a lot of people's experiences as far as that first time getting started. And one thing is, there is a place that you can start, and it doesn't have to be at an Olympic athlete status. It doesn't have to be, being a pro athlete for a team. There's somewhere you can start. Can you walk a quarter of a mile on a treadmill? Awesome. That's a place to start. You don't have to walk 10 miles on that treadmill. And then, okay, so you walked a quarter mile. Great. The next time you come in, can you do 3/4? Heck, right? Or even split the difference from that too. So whether it's even weights, there's a strength coach, Mark Ripito, who's pretty famous out in the, as far as the strength conditioning world. He's written a few books, all that I've read. I don't always agree with all his methodology and his concepts, but one thing that really resonated with me, going back to, man, how do you help someone get started, is a lot of people say, well, I can't squat all that weight. I got bad knees. I got bad XYZ, right? Name all the dysfunctions. There's no way I can squat a bunch of weight. Ripito's response is, yeah, you're right. Okay, you can't squat 200 pounds right now. Totally understand. There is a weight you can start at, though. Maybe it's a 10-pound dumbbell with a goblet squat, and you sit on a bench and stand up. Oh, wow. Okay, so you could do that, right? You could squat with a 10-pound excuse me, dumbbell. Oh, well, maybe next time we'll try the 15 or 20 pound dumbbell, right? And trying to be this cohesive as I can. If we can do that, right, your body will follow a systematic adaptation process. It's going to adapt as long as we allow it. And my point is, going back to what you mentioned, yes, it can be very intimidating when you see someone running, sprinting on a treadmill, lifting up 400 pounds. But if you can tell someone, hey, there's a place we can start, it doesn't have to be that. And guess what? You're going to improve each time. You're going to build up, right? And and I try not to make this about me, but I say, listen, I could use the same logic where I'm at. I could think, man, I'm only doing this weight. There's someone out there who's even further along, they're lifting more weight, and right. So we could all have that idea in our head that, man, I'm just not good enough to do this. No, you're good enough to start somewhere and build from there, and you'll improve. I think that's what people need to hear. You're going to improve, provided we allow it. You will improve. Exactly.
I love that explanation. I remember I had a guest on the show. His name was Eric Bedell. He's another personal trainer, all virtual.
Yep.
And I was talking to him about like this exact thing. And this was actually when I'd signed up for Anytime from where I came from the other gym that was 30 minutes away. Now Anytime's 3 minutes away, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was saying to him, hey man, I've had this membership for like 3 weeks now, and I haven't even gone in once because I was doing things outside and I was staying active, but I wasn't going into the gym because, again, it was a new environment. And I've got like and I'm the first to admit that I have these like irrational fears of going into a new place. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't even know where all the equipment is that I'm going to need. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to look new. And he's like, yeah, you're going to walk in and you're going to look new. He's like, because you are new, like it's a new environment. And he's like, Brandon, I'm going to challenge you to do something. And I love when my guests coach me, man, because I love interviewing people because I learn a lot. It helps other people learn a lot, but I also get to ask my own selfish questions in order to learn even more, which is super cool. Exactly. And he was like, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. He's like, even if you just walked into that gym and just looked around and walked around and saw where the equipment was that you were going to use, and then you left and you went home, he's like, that's 100% improvement from where you were.
Yes, that is.
And I was like, damn, man, you're right. So literally the next day I walked in, I wore my gym clothes, and I did a full workout. Like I actually walked around, and because as soon as I got in there, I was like, what am I worried about? Like, this is freaking crazy. I'm like, we create this picture in our mind of what something is going to be like, and then we get in there. I think this relates to anything, and it's completely different than what we expected, and then we actually enjoy it.
Exactly. And I think one thing I want to take from what you just mentioned, I love that the trainer you had said, hey man, even if you just walk in the gym and just look around and like physically walk to a place, how that's going to acclimate you to that new setting. And that's something, a book I read recently, and forgive me, I know his first name's Mark. It's either Hansen or Manson. I always screw this up.
Mark Manson, probably.
Yeah, Mark Manson. So he has the first one, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, right? And a lot of us have probably read that. I thought it was a great insight to dealing with my own ideology that I have in my head and what really is true and what isn't true, right? What really is going on. The sequel to that kind of is Everything is Blank, a book about hope. And in that book, he really talks about, we have this big struggle with the right and left side of our brain. And I'm not going to exactly remember. I think one's just really, I could be oversimplifying. I believe one's emotional and one's logical, right? And this emotional one is just wants to be the kid at 3 years old and just eat all the ice cream, really just do whatever you want, no discipline, right? And the logical side's like, no, you have to do your taxes and you need to, exercise 10 times, right? Whatever it is, okay?
Yeah.
And he talks about how you don't want to try and make that struggle too logical and just dismiss that emotional side of the brain. You have to have a conversation with it, okay? It's got to be give and take. And it's almost like, his example is you don't want to work out that morning. You don't want to go for the run. And you're sitting on the couch and like, oh. And it's something similar to what your trainer mentioned as far as, hey, just first go and look around at the equipment. You don't have to even work out. You almost have to talk to that emotional side of your brain and say, well, what if we just got up from the couch? We don't have to work out. If we just get up, and then, well, what if we just walk to where our workout clothes are, where they're located? Okay. The shoes are right there. You could put your running shoes on. You could do it. Doesn't mean you have to work out. And that, if you can sometimes, and again, everyone certainly has different methodologies that work for them. That can be a great way to acclimate, knowing that it doesn't have to be this all or none principle. I ran 20 miles today, to just improve your life, and literally everything in your life improves when you can
100%.
Yeah.
It goes back to that concept of
Yeah.
not negotiating with yourself, right?
Right.
Oh, maybe I'll go today, or you say I'm going to go today, and then halfway through the day you're like, well, my day's halfway over, maybe I'll just go tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's like, no, stop the negotiation. Have you heard of the 75 hard challenge?
I have not. No.
Oh man. Okay, so first of all, I'd highly recommend you check it out. Do you know of Andy Frisella from First Form?
I've heard, I think, of First Form. I can't say I know the name.
Oh man,
okay,
dude!
so I have to look
Let me tell you, and this is everyone listening. You got to check out the podcast called Real AF. That's the name, Real AF.
Okay.
It's with Andy Frisella. It's literally, I think it's the most popular business podcast in the world. But he gets 3 million downloads a show. Rogan gets 11 million. So to give you an idea of where he's at, very popular show. A lot of people know about it. But the concept of 75 hard, I won't go into it because I have on many other shows. It's where it's like 5 tenets, right? You must stick to a strict eating plan, right? Not necessarily a diet, but a strict eating plan. No cheat meals, no alcohol. And then the second one, I won't go into all of them, but the second one is you must work out twice a day. One of the workouts has to be outside, and they both have to be for 40 minutes apiece. And 45 minutes apiece. And I did this during the summer, and I did it 2 years ago too. And I get in the best shape of my life. But I go from being the person who's like, maybe I'll work out today, maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. When you, in your mind, when you make it a must to get out there and to get to the gym and to do things, when that part of your mind that is the negotiation mind, which I do believe is that it's probably the emotional brain, right?
Right.
Maybe it is the logic, maybe it's both. When you eliminate that option for negotiation, it changes everything. You don't even think about it. You just say, okay, now's the time for my outside workout. You get your shit on, you go outside and you do it. Okay, now's the time for my second workout. You go in the extra bedroom, you go to the gym, whatever it has to be. When that negotiation element is done, it frees up so much more energy and willpower and mental space to focus on things that actually matter. So it's this idea of stop negotiating with yourself and saying, maybe I'll go, maybe I'll start this new workout. Just go do it and start it. See how you feel and consistency and persistency. And anyways, I know we're kind of going into like this whole motivation thing, but
with that though, I tie that back to even something like meal prepping, just do it. Do your meal prep. It frees up your mind and your resources you have to think about other things and be proactive. And also, because you're meal prepping, now you're bringing that to work. You're not going out and spending extra money on takeout or what have you. And a lot of times, especially, if you're working in a more urban environment, in a more hustle bustle business venture, sometimes it's going out and grabbing a beer or a couple of beers at lunchtime even, right? Now, not only are you freeing up, by meal prepping, the financial side of it, but also your cognitive resources, your energy expenditure, you're going to have more because you're not eating that crappy food. So to your point, you just say, no, I'm doing my meal prep on Sunday or Saturday. This is happening.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to have the mental even thinking about what you're going to do during the week. What am I going to get, right? Or I actually have had at work for the same lunch for the past 5 or 6 years. Maybe
wow.
7. Yeah.
What is that lunch?
Yeah. Chicken, sweet potato, and broccoli. It's super easy because you just meal prep your chicken. If you're one that wants to prep your broccoli, you can, but you don't have to. You can just eat it raw. Okay. It's a real plant that grows in the ground. Your body can digest it. Now everyone's different, obviously. So that's another subject matter. But, and then a sweet potato, you just throw it in the microwave. Right.
Yeah.
Bam. It's the simplest thing. And when I go to the grocery store, I don't have to think about that day. Well, what am I going to meal prep this week? What do I want to no, it's just, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing this. And now it just allows my brain to function, I feel, more efficiently and really focus on things that matter more than, well, do I want to have the what? And my point is going back to you were saying this, the idea of getting rid of that component, the too much negotiation, can free up your mental faculties to focus on things that really matter versus, oh, should I or shouldn't work out? No, just do it. And then you'll reap all the benefits and then some.
For sure. It's about just making it easier for yourself. So treat and take care of the future you.
Yep.
Right. And by doing that, then you can not have to think about what you're going to eat. You just grab it out of the fridge.
Yep.
I mean, you eat the same thing for 5-6 years. I'm just curious more than anything. We don't have to like go into all the science and everything of it, but do you practice intermittent fasting, or are you a fan of it?
So I actually do. Yeah. I practice intermittent.
Oh, okay.
Fasting. Yep. So, and that's
what's that look like for you?
So for me, that's a great question. Usually work week, my schedule is the last thing I'll typically eat is around 8:30 to 9. And depending on what my caloric intake has been that day, it's either a can of tuna, so just eat it out of the can, right? Call me crazy. Or if I feel that I haven't had a high caloric intake that day, I might have a tuna sandwich on whole wheat with a little bit of mayo. And then I won't have my protein shake that breaks my fast, typically until, depending on the day, 12 or 1. Now, if it's a workout day, I will have that protein shake sooner, around 10 o'clock a.m., because there may be some evidence that supports immediately or quickly, rather, I don't want to say phrase immediately, but immediately or quickly consuming protein after a workout if you've been fasting. And again,
what is it like within the 30 minutes afterwards?
Yeah,
would you think?
around there. And that's if you've been fasting. Now, that's another subject too I could really dive deep into. I'll try and make it brief to get back to you in a minute. Is the idea, though, that you have to have protein like an hour or a half hour and you miss the anabolic window is a myth that's been dispelled. Okay. You are still going to use that protein to stimulate muscle growth, to increase the size of your lean muscle tissue, even if you have it an hour and a half or 2 hours later, whatever that protein source is. Although there also has been some research that indicates that there still is a benefit to having a protein feeding window that is sooner rather than later. So not that it has to be 5 minutes after your workout or 10 minutes. And then that window, and you'll forgive me because I don't have the study offhand, but it is a study that was published by the National Strength Conditioning Association that showed like that 24 to 48 hour window after, make sure I get the hands here in the window frame, that 24 to 40 hour window after a workout is super crucial to consuming protein, especially that first 24 hours. Okay. So if you say, well, I'll just have a low protein intake 24 hours after my workout, and then I'll ramp it up to 24 hours after, you have missed some benefit. But again, the big thing is total protein intake over a 24-hour window is what's going to stimulate muscle growth. But back to intermittent fasting. Yeah. So typically it's a protein shake that's got oats, frozen berries. Nowadays I do almond milk, but sometimes.
Do you make it yourself?
I'm sorry?
You make it yourself?
Yeah, I make it myself. So it's almond milk, creatine monohydrate, 5 grams, some kind of whey protein blend or whey isolate that's around 25 to 30 grams, 3 cracked eggs, which I know may not be popular, oats, frozen berries, and blend all that up. And so that's usually somewhere between 10 and 12, depending if I worked out, if I didn't. If I didn't work out, it's usually later till 12:30ish, 1.
Why wouldn't those 3 cracked eggs be popular?
I think some will say you're gonna have salmonella poisoning.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which I also talked to a friend of mine who does a similar routine, and he has his master's in occupational therapy. So someone who's also very health fitness minded, who has a scientific background, and he is not as concerned with the salmonella. I think it's an overblown thing.
Yeah.
But, and the other reason I say it's not popular because some people just kind of grosses them out, like the idea of having just cracked eggs, but you don't notice it because of everything else, the oats, the berries, the whey protein blend, right? So yeah, then it's a chicken, sweet potato, broccoli for lunch, and then some kind of protein in the evening for dinner with a carbohydrate, potato. I do eat bread. I know it's crazy, right? I eat bread, right? So I might have a slice of bread, and then, as I mentioned, it's that tuna. So yeah, that is my and I want to make sure I do quickly surmise though. There's abundance of research that's really recently come out in intermittent fasting in regards to weight loss. It's not magic. It works because it manages caloric intake. Okay, all right. It's because we are restricting calories. It's helping either maintain a neutral energy balance, so you're not gaining weight, or for some may help get to a caloric deficit, which is how we lose weight. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that, because there's a lot of back and like, oh, there's nothing magic about it that's different than any other nutrition plan that you follow. You can, whatever works. But for me, I like intermittent.
It's a lifestyle. Like, people hear intermittent fasting and they think it's this fad thing, or it's like, even like keto. And it's like, and by the way, I know some people who've been doing keto for years, and it works really well for them and they like it. So that's not awesome. A knock on anything.
Yes. No, I think, and that's the biggest thing I mentioned to people, whatever works for you that you can maintain. And just as you said, as a lifestyle. Exactly. If Atkins works for you and you've been doing it for 4 years and it maintains a healthy weight for you and lifestyle and energy balance that you have, keep doing it. Don't stop. Same with keto, same with vegan, same with anything, paleo, whatever. If it's allowing you to maintain a healthy weight and energy balance where you can do things throughout the day, you're not too tired, and all the other metrics come out great, your blood work or your blood pressure, yada, yada, your sugar levels, I support that. So as you just mentioned, Brandon, it's one of many tools that you can use. And you said, if you could make it a lifestyle, keep doing it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I just remember, man, when I was 21, one of the first changes I made was I started intermittent fasting. And this is before there was like really a lot of people talking about it. At this point, there was a couple people. And this guy from Kino Body, his name was Grego Gallagher. And he's incredible even to this day. He's got, he's got his own line of products and all that stuff. But at this time, he was relatively new, and he always preached intermittent fast. Like, this is the key to your fitness success. And I was like, I got to try this thing. And I still do it to this day. And some days aren't perfect. Some days I'll have breakfast with my wife at like 10 o'clock and I'll break my fast 2 hours early, but it's not a make it or break it kind of thing.
No, it's not.
It gives me more focus. I have more energy until I eat, because your body is not using all that energy for digestion at that point. You're actually able to focus on what you want to do. So there's a lot of benefits, but like you said, you got to find what works for you.
You got to find what works for you.
Get rolling.
And with the intermittent, as I mentioned, it works because it helps keep caloric deficit. But what you mentioned, though, we know this is not something that can be disputed. When you have a meal, regardless of the size, blood is being diverted to the digestive system to process that nutrients. And then that's something we learned in, I remember vividly from my anatomy courses at SUNY Cortland, was observing the gut and just the crazy amount of density. Now, of course, it's everywhere, but of tissue that is devoted to absorption of nutrients in the blood vessels. And it's really an eye-opener, like, oh, wow, well, this makes sense why having especially a larger meal could make you more lethargic, because look at all that, the blood capillaries, the vessels that go to that area. Now, you have it for the rest of your body too. Okay, of course, let's not dismiss that like there's nothing else, right? But that checks out why having a big meal would then, to digest, divert blood flow to that area, which, as you just mentioned, yes, can make you feel tired. What I'm hopeful about, which this is like, I don't want to put my stamp on it, say this is scientific fact. What would be awesome if it's true is what some of the experts that I've listened to, whether they've been on the Rogans or what have you, some of these aging experts as far as longevity, that say when you fast for, this 14 to 16 hour window, things are happening at the cellular level that I am not qualified enough to speak on behalf of. I have a little bit, but I don't want to get too much.
Sure.
That are enabling you to potentially live longer. And this cell atrophy, or this turnover of cells, that these cells either being repaired or the ones that we don't need are being dying, being replaced with newer ones. And the idea of really, and the big thing is what some of these experts that I've listened to have said. So I've always said this, the reason I have some bit of knowledge in my career is because I listen to people that are really smart and then, try to discern from that.
Yeah.
All these experts say when you put your body in a slight state of stress, that is what enables the body, or helps to enable that adaptive principle. Okay. Whether it's exercise, becoming hypoxic, right? And so my point, going back to, hopefully with the intermittent fasting, we can cross the fingers that that is happening. If it's not something in the world, it's still helpful because it's helping you maintain weight, and it's really easy to do. You don't have to worry about what you're eating, right? Still eat a well-balanced diet, but you don't have to worry about the minutia right? Of, oh, well, did I have, how many carbohydrates was this or calories in this meal? Because typically you're going to be in that deficit because you can't eat that much from 12 to 8 or 1 to 9 or 12 to 9. So sorry for, I'm long-winded. I know.
I love it. I think it's cool. Like I said, I got a lot of points. I have 5, and we've gone into 1, and it's cool because we've dove deep into 1. And I mean, even if you think about how we as human beings used to live and what's quote unquote normal, at least for thousands and thousands of years when we were hunters and gatherers. You think of this idea of intermittent fasting and not eating until a certain time and having either an 8-hour eating window. I know a guy, Sean Miller, who's a close friend of mine. He has a 2-hour eating window. He calls it the warrior fast. And he's so energetic. He's literally like ripped. And I know that's not everyone's goal, but he's a dad. He's ripped. He's a busy professional guy. And he's like, I eat for 2 hours. I eat 1 meal, essentially. And when you think about how we used to live, we used to go out, we used to hunt and gather during the day. And then we'd get home, we'd skin the animal, we'd cook the animal, and we would eat a meal together around the campfire. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what they were doing. But
I thought that was you there at the
buffalo, no? And the loincloth.
Oh, yeah. It was nice loincloth you had. I know it was really, really tasteful, Brandon. Okay.
But you know, the whole idea of we needed that energy. Our body knows that we're hunting and gathering during the day and then enjoying the fruits of our labor at night. So it's almost, and again, this is not like scientifically, I'm sure some parts are, but it's the idea that our body's adapted to live a certain way. So you don't need to dive into these myths of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And then people have a bowl of Cheerios and a big thing of pancakes. And they're like, why do I feel so tired by noon? And it's capitalism, one, but it's really what it is, man. It's capitalism that has brainwashed us.
I love that you went into that because that's something that I always kind of like to think about. We can't always use this analogy in all cases. You know, we are fortunate to live in a modern society where we have medications and drugs and what have you, and information that allows us to make our lives better in medical treatments. But yes, when you think about how our ancestors lived, okay, and what foods did they eat? Okay, they didn't have access to the Pop-Tarts, as you mentioned, the pancakes. You know, they went out, we killed that animal, we ate the lean meat, we cooked it, we picked the berries, and we were not eating snacks all day, okay? And that's one thing that I did want to quickly go into. Brad Schoenfeld, who is at the top of our echelon in research in the fitness and community. He's a PhD. He's a natural bodybuilder. Him and really Mike Israetel are two of our leading guys and Brad Schoenfeld really with the research side of things. Because we used to think, oh, Brandon, you got to eat 5-6 small meals a day because that's speeding up your metabolism. Speeds up your metabolism. You need to eat up. Keep eating. Get that metabolism. Go, go, go. And guess what? Research has come out. It's conclusive. It does not matter if you have 10 meals a day versus 1 meal a day. Your metabolism, right, is not, you do not have a greater metabolic effect by having frequent meals. That has been disproven.
Wow.
What is relevant to your metabolism is the caloric intake. So I'll use a quick example. I think the numbers here make sense for most people. 1,800 calorie diet. Okay. So your diet, Brand, you're eating 1,800 calories. That's what's great for you to be athletic, energized, maintain your weight, right? All the good, healthy things. Cool. So if you ate 3 meals a day, each 600 calories, that's it. If my state school education is correct, that's 1,800 calories. It is the same metabolic equivalent that if you had 6 meals a day that are 300 calories each.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea that we have to eat frequently to speed up our metabolism, no, it doesn't. No, it's what matters is that caloric intake. That's what's going to dictate our calorie burn. And again, I think that's something that hopefully now is becoming more at the forefront. I think it's still kind of out there, though, as a myth that, oh, you got to eat frequent meals to speed up that metabolism. And again, if you look back at our ancestors, another great guy who's been on Jocko Willenick's, and he's also been on Joe Rogan's. He's a doctor, Peter. Oh gosh, his last name begins with an A something.
Okay.
Just look, do Joe Rogan or Jocko Willenick and Peter A. It's gonna come up. He's great. He has a really great, and going back to what you mentioned, Brand, but the hunter-gatherer concept of nutrition, like what should I eat? It's so complicated because so many people say, well, you shouldn't have the carbs or the protein with this or the fats. What are healthy fats, not healthy? He has a great way to look at it. And I actually think you can really gain a healthier lifestyle if you apply this principle. If your ancestors could not eat it 500, 600 years ago, you probably don't need to eat it. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? 500, 600 years ago, we could obviously have berries and fruits and vegetables we could grow, right? Potatoes. Awesome. Eat those. Cool. Right? Within your caloric requirement, within your energy needs, right? Yeah, we could definitely have beef. We had steer, right? Okay.
Yep.
Now, how much you could have of that? Right. You couldn't probably always every meal of the day have beef, right? Because you could only kill that cow, steer once, and then you'd have it. But you could have pigs. You could have meat from pigs, pork, what have you, bacon even. Now again, how much of it could you have? Could you have it with every meal? You probably couldn't, right? But you see where I'm going with this, obviously.
Yes.
I love that you brought that up, because I think can draw some, not conclusions maybe, but you can use that as a way to address your own lifestyle and say, oh, I'm eating Pop-Tarts and Cheerios.
Yep. Huh. Is this necessary, right? Like it causes you to ask yourself different questions.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Just because you grew up doing this specific thing. Like I remember as a kid, man, I used to drink milk like all the time. I drank a lot of milk, James, a lot of milk. My mom's like, oh, it grows healthy bones.
You have to, right?
Great for you, to the point where as a child, like my grandmother, I was a chubby kid, and she's like, oh, you're just big boned. And I was like, oh, so this is something that I was born as, right? I was born fat. I was meant to be this way. And it created all these identity issues, which led into my later teenage years. But just these myths that were debunked, like, and a lot of people probably won't like hearing this, but you read a lot about this, you look into the research, you hear the experts talk about it, people much smarter than me. They're like, we are not meant to drink cow milk. Like cow milk is meant for calves. It's meant for cows to drink. Like we're not meant to do that.
It's meant to make a calf get really big, really quick.
Yes.
It's meant to help it gain a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
And we're consuming that in high frequencies. Poor kids.
Exactly.
Can lead to weight gain.
And the way that they market it, brother, the way they market it. So I think this whole conversation, this whole segment can be summed up by saying, question what you've been doing your entire life and ask, is this necessary? Why am I eating this? Am I still eating this because I've been eating this since I was 20? Now I'm 50 and I'm having the Cheerios. I don't have energy. I'm wondering why. I'm drinking the milk. I'm doing all these things. Like, just question why you're doing it and ask yourself, how much of it is inspired by the media? How much of it is inspired by big business and capitalism? Look at all the name brands you've got in your cupboards and really assess, how is this serving me? And ask yourself that really important question.
I think it's great. And just if I could quickly add to that, it's because our culture has said you need to eat that whole plate, finish the whole plate, and then go for seconds. Yeah. Do I really need to finish this whole plate? Right. And I think, and then what's driving, why is this fast food saying, hey, do you want to upgrade your fries to the mega fries? Right? Do you want to add in the extra? What's driving that? And then I think if you can ask those questions, just you mentioned, proves your outlook and then potentially your lifestyle as well. Man,
the CEO of McDonald's recently said in an interview, like publicly, he's like, I won't eat at my restaurants. I won't eat at my restaurants. He's like, it's just not the kind of food that I want to eat. And he's like, and he even said, which I actually really respected this. He was like, I advise you not to eat at our restaurants more than once a week. I wouldn't advise it. And some people, they're going through that drive-through every single day because it's convenient. It's easy. It's something they've always done. But again, just that idea of why are you doing what you've been doing? Something I want to ask you, because I know a lot of your day is really planned when it comes to the nutrition aspect. And I'm sure a lot of other aspects too, just because you seem like a structured guy just from everything you do. And as a busy person, it's important to plan and make things easy for yourself. Like we were talking about before. How do you advise people who they're starting to make progress with their health? They're starting to get into a new routine and they want to make changes, but their partner isn't following that same routine, and they're on like almost the completely opposite spectrum. Like, what are your thoughts on that? How is that?
That's a great one. I've encountered that countless times over the past 10 years working in different gym settings. Lead by example, right? And the idea, you can bring a horse to water, you cannot make it drink, right? If you try and get that person to come along with, I'm doing the blank plane, we're going to do this together. I think first focus on yourself, improve yourself, and do it. Make it a routine. If the other person's not doing it, you can, delicately, I would say, maybe discuss the evidence, right, of why maybe something isn't the best to do. But you need to lead by example. You need to do that thing. And hopefully, just by leading by example, by having that routine, is that person's, they're improving their lifestyle, they're eating healthy, they're exercising, keep doing it. Do not stop. Do not obviously give in to that temptation as best you can, or you may need to plan your life around it if you know that those things are inevitable. Right now, I feel like I'm Thanos. I am all things inevitable. I don't know if you would do Avengers or not, but anyway. But the point is, lead by example. Do it. It's tough. We all want our mom, our wives, our husbands, our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our grandma, our grandpa to do this thing like, wow, like nutrition and exercise combined. It's a beautiful thing. And when you do it, it improves your life. And I can help my grandma. I can help my husband, my wife, whomever, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, right? All that. It's an uphill battle, and lead your life, lead by example through your life, how your lifestyle. If you keep doing it and you are consistent, perhaps it'll slowly kind of trickle and sink into that person that's in your life. And they'll say, oh, you know what? Wow, Brandon, man, he's exercising all the time. He's eating clean foods. Like, what are you doing at the gym, Brandon? Oh, you go, oh, maybe could I go one time, just like check it out? Going back.
It happens every time.
Right.
Every time. I remember, man, when I started my fitness journey,
yeah,
my wife and I were both overweight, like very overweight. And we'll look back at pictures of us, and she says the same thing too. So if you're watching this, Bree, I know you're not mad at me for saying it, but we'll look back at pictures and we'll be like, oh my God, look at us in this picture. We were 6 years younger than we are now, but we look 10, 15 years older. And she didn't start some crazy fitness routine. And I'm not claiming responsibility for her own personal successes, but I started going to the gym religiously, like only 3 days a week, but it was, I didn't miss. I went 3 days a week, and I busted my ass when I was in there 3 days a week. And I started focusing more on what I was putting into my body. It wasn't this complete, like, step by step, I eat this, and this every day, but I knew that I ate between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. And I wouldn't eat more than a certain amount, except for some nights, right? I had some cheat meals, and I still made progress. You don't have to go on this strict, stern, you have to do this thing in order to see results. But what started to happen was she started to see what I was doing. She started to see what I was eating, and she slowly adjusted what she was doing. And she started to eat less. She started to ask different questions, like what we were talking about before. I think it's one thing to not go along with what someone else is doing, at least at first. It's another thing to sabotage someone else's results.
Right.
So if you are someone listening to this and you've got someone in your life who is making progress, like, almost make yourself be happy for that person and celebrate that person, because that energy will then boost you up and help you to make positive changes, because sabotaging someone because they're doing something different, it all comes back on us.
I firmly believe that most people are good. Most everyone's good. There obviously are people that are not and do terrible, evil things. Most of us, 99% of us, are good and want good for others. So just as you mentioned, if your significant other, the person's close to your life, family member, friends, if they're really, improving on something and really making that lifestyle commitment to doing it, and that person stays consistent over time, like you said, you don't have to be perfect, okay? But you're, like you said, you're going to the gym 3 times a week, okay? You're eating healthy. It's still okay to have the cheat meal. That's totally fine. But if they see it over a length of time, right, they'll be on board with that. And then just as you mentioned, like that trainer that said, hey, just go to the gym first and just look at it. You don't even have to like do anything. Just go look around first, right? To acclimate to that new setting. It can be in a way for that person to acclimate to the lifestyle that will help improve them by seeing, oh, maybe can I just go with you one time to the gym and just look at it? Yes. And encourage that. And definitely don't force it. Do not try and because it's that old, if you remember when we were kids, Brandon, that little, it was a finger trap where you put, it's a little, like think of what you put pennies in to bring to a bank.
Yeah, one of those Chinese finger traps they call them.
Exactly. And the more you pulled apart, the tighter it got.
The more resistance.
But when you
wow.
bring together, it released. So keep that in mind. Going back to James, how do you help that person? The harder you pull and try to get that person to do this thing, the more resistance you're going to encounter, right? But the more that you can come together, and again, the big thing I think is staying consistent. Do it. You don't have to be perfect. That'll be huge. I mean, and yeah, so it can happen, right? But you have to do it in a way that has that person come to it on their own, so that they can identify with it's who they are. That's something I learned about in one of my certifications. You know, as you mentioned, I'm a certified strength conditioning specialist, but I'm also a certified personal trainer. So I have those two certifications. And what we learned in my certified personal trainer certification with the National Strength Conditioning Association is this level of motivation. And up here we have the worst level, and down here is the best, right? Maybe I should flip it up. It's better, but either way. And these like 7 or 6 different levels. The worst was essentially you're not doing something because you hate it, because it's bad, because you see no value. So screw it, I'm not doing it. And then like the next level up, a little better was, well, you do the thing, you hate doing it, but you do it because you're going to get punished if you don't do it. There's going to be a bad thing that occurs to you. And then the next level up from that might be, and again, I could be missing a few here, but the next level is, well, you do it, you're not crazy about it, but you know there's a positive outcome. You know that if you do the thing, whatever the hard thing is, there'll be a positive benefit, right? Whether it's you're hustling on your business, just being Gary Vee and like just only sleeping 6 hours a night. Gary Vee's awesome. I got to hear him speak once. I've
That's
definitely
cool.
taken real quick. Like the thing with him, like when it comes to creating content, like that I've taken from when we were doing some social media, is you don't have to be perfect, James. Like I was worried, I have this post on the Facebook. If it's not, he's like, no, just start, just do it. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's what holds people back. So anyway, a little side note, but anyway,
I love it.
Right. So you only do the thing because there could be a positive outlook, but then we get to that higher level of you do it because you actually really enjoy it, right? Even though if it's hard, but then the best is you do something because you identify with who you are.
Wow.
Who you are is you do that thing, whatever that thing is, right? And I think when you mentioned, James, how do we get that person in our life? We're not starting with it, how they identify who they are, okay? And if we try and pull them in and get them to do this, it's just going to be that low level of motivation of if they do it, it's going to be just because they're being punished. They feel they're being punished because you're punishing them, or that they just hate it and they only do it because, well, there's a positive outcome. Because look at my other person in my life, they're getting a positive outcome. We want them to hopefully, by leading by example, any sports team will tell you the best leaders are the ones that lead by example, not the necessarily rah, hey team, go, talk. It's the guy that's usually silent. He does his job. He gets there early.
Damn.
He doesn't complain. He excels, right? That's how we lead. And then so hopefully that person in our life, instead of having them dread the thing and not want to do it, perhaps by leading by example, we can get them to a place where they come to own and they'll do it because they like it.
Yeah.
And then the best, which is just how you are with your venture, with your health and wellness, so how I am with what I do at work, with my health and wellness. It's who I am. That's what I do. It's not done as a punishment. You know, I love the positive outcome. It's not even about the positive outcome, really. It's who I am. That's what leads me to that enterprise. And it's nice. There is a positive outcome too. Either whether it's making more money, being healthier, looking better, all that stuff. So yeah. Again, I'm long-winded, so sorry if we keep going on like that.
I love it. And I think the biggest premise here is start with you, right? Whatever changes you want to make, don't just create a goal and say, I got to tell everybody. I got to tell my wife. I got to tell my dad, my mom. Like you got to be careful about who you tell too. Because some people are going to be like, oh, why are you doing that? Honey, my mom used to always say, honey, you look great. Why do you need to go to the gym? You look good. I love you the way you are. Or even my wife at the beginning, she's like, oh, well, it's better to cuddle with someone who's got a little bit more meat on them. And it's like, no, because I'd like to cuddle for more years, right? And have more vitality in my life. And even Joseph here, he wrote a comment, just like in business, you discuss the problem and you implement the solution. I think the biggest thing that I got from that, Joseph, is have the conversation and communicate with the other person, not anything to do with them. It can't, right? You can't say, James, you know, I think that you should do this with me. You should do that. You should change this. It's, hey, James, I know that we're currently living in this way, doing these things. What I want to do to reach this specific goal of mine is start going to the gym and implement this nutrition strategy into my life. And I don't expect anything from me. I just want to let you know, because the things I'm going to be doing, it's going to be a little bit different from here on out. Right. And that person might be like, oh yeah, do your thing. But once they see you implement and do it, that's the leading by example part that inspires change in most other people.
Communication, right? I think anyone can say that most problems arise from just poor communication. Okay. Not properly communicating what I don't use the phrase standard, but rather what is the plan? Okay. Just as he mentioned there, which is so applicable. And then clearly communicating why it's important to to make the person, but for me, you know, if it's you or I in this relationship and I say, Brandon, hey, this is important for me because I want to improve my health, my life, whatever the goals are. As I mentioned, 99.9% of people are good. They are good.
Yeah.
And most 90% of people say, oh, wow, that's really important to you. Well, I want to make sure I help and I don't enable the bad thing, enable the good thing. And then that's how you start that transition. And then, as we just mentioned, then you lead by example. You do it. And then I firmly believe that if you stay consistent with that, you will get some kind of improvement as a whole of that unit, of that family or relationship or whatever it is. It will come around. Yeah.
Well said, man. Well said. Dude, there's so many different directions we could have taken this conversation. Like, again, I got one check next to one point, and it's incredible because of the way and the place that it's led. And I hope that this inspires those listening to number one, start with you. Ask yourself, why am I at this point in my life? Why do I feel the way that I feel, whether it's good or bad, right? Like, what are you doing that is giving you the current result that you're getting? And what can you do in order to change that fitness wise? What can you do nutrition wise? I know, James, you're offering something that can help people with just that. I know that your 2 Anytime Fitness locations in Glens Falls and Hudson Falls, New York, is offering a $1 down promotion. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly, yeah. So through into the month of February, we're offering $1 down special, just as you mentioned. So usually the enrollment is more. So we're discounting. That's usually around $70. So you literally, if you stop in the gym, when I am there, you pay $1. That's it. And Brandon, as your experiences can attest to, or you can attest to rather through your experiences, people love our gym because of the comfortable atmosphere. We have all the resources you need, whatever your goal is to improve your health, your lifestyle. And we have resources for you to do that. So there's a free app that comes with a membership. There is no cost. The app is linked to a workout app that has over 1,000 workouts. Wow. When we talk about detail, I'm talking about whether there's like a volleyball workout. Like if you're a volleyball player, we have a workout for you. If you want to be a bodybuilder, there's literally Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding plans on it, and or if a power lifter, or if you just want to be able to move better, any kind of workout you can think is going to be on there. So that's a resource we have. Also, too, as you mentioned, your experience, every membership is going to come with a free consultation. Okay. My job is to set you up for success so that even if you're a beginner, if you've never done it before, I will ensure you know how to use our facility properly based on your goals, have the exercise selected. If you are someone who's a little more advanced, not your first rodeo, as I like to say, I have experience training pro athletes, college athletes, and everyone in between. And if you want maybe that little extra in workout programming or form and technique, we can address that. And really those through my qualifications, certifications, and experiences. My point is we can help you get to really a healthier place at any time. So yeah, it's $1 down through the month of February. If you just reference even this podcast, even if it's later in February, we'll honor the $1 down. But yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity, pretty cool time.
I love that. That's so cool. Let me tell you guys too. I mentioned to James that a lot of you listening are not from upstate New York. Most of you, like 99%, which is cool. For those who are advanced and for those who do want to make changes, James is a busy guy, but he said, hey, if they want to reach out to me and talk about how I can serve them even in a remote way, if it makes sense for you, if it makes sense for James, then reach out to him and let him know what you're looking for. And worst case scenario, he points you in the right direction that you need to go.
I'm in the fitness industry. Obviously, I pay close attention. So if I can't help you based on my schedule, my time, I'm married. I have, a life around this. Obviously, I'm very busy at the gym. I do have limited slots available potentially if someone's interested in remote training. So I'd be happy to look into that. But worst case, if I can't, if it's like, hey, our time, our schedule, or maybe I can't help you the most. Maybe there's someone else I know. I have other avenues in the fitness industry of resources that I know are credible, that I know can help you get results. And these are resources that I would have anyone in my life close that I value because I want them to get the best results, I would point them towards. So I'd be even happy to point you towards the right resource if I'm unable to assist based on schedule and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let me tell you guys, I've been going to Anytime now several times over the course of, several years, and just incredible gym, but it's not just the gym, it's the people inside. And you've got someone in your corner, James, who's going to really help to set you up for success. So guys, a link is in the description for James's email, so you can check that out. I'll have a link to more information about that specific offer with Anytime. And James, it's been awesome chatting with you. Thanks for giving your time. I know you're a busy guy, and it's just, I'm happy that we made this happen, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Happy to do it, and look forward to future conversations. This was awesome. Thank you.
Right back at you, man. Thank you. No matter how your life looks, how busy it is, what stage you're at when it comes to your fitness, if you're already advanced with fitness, if you're just starting out, if you want to know more, if you want to take the leap, I hope from this conversation, you took the one thing away that I took away, which is just start. Begin. Start with you. Start making the changes yourself. Watch how it inspires the people around you, not by you telling them, but by you showing them what it is you're doing through your own actions. This was an awesome conversation where we talked about a lot of nutrition, some physical fitness things, James's incredible story, and really, if anything, just the energy that James sent through your screen virtually today. Like, great way to start the morning. So again, information is in the description to reach out to James, to check out the offer with Anytime Fitness. Excellent gym, excellent people. And if you took away any value from this conversation, which I hope you did, then please share this show with one person, because you're the reason that we've been able to grow the way that we have over this past year. Thank you so much for watching. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.